time over these last couple of years. How has he had to adjust to, defenses learning more about him and seeing what he does well or what he struggles with?
I think, every team's defensive game plan is going to be different. I think, some of the stuff, maybe he took guys by surprise with his athleticism. Maybe last year where he would scramble, take off and run. I mean, Green Bay had a couple plays where they had some spies for him, like in third down situations. They weren't going to let him take off and run. He ran for 90 yards on him a year ago. So there's some of that. I don't think, teams are going to play their scheme. Teams play their defensive scheme. That's a slight adjustment that you'll see. And we kind of see that from, quarterbacks that run well. People don't play a lot of two-man. They didn't play a lot of two-man against the Chiefs. So, we said, hey, probably they're going to play us a little bit more like that. Just some minor adjustments like that.
Yesterday, Taylor said that he's playing more free. He's thinking less, reacting more. Have you seen him do that even more this year, or is it really more of the same what he was doing at the end of last year?
No, I think his decision-making is just getting better and better. He's anticipating. I think he had a lot of situations in the game where he anticipated and the ball came out of his hand early, and he threw the ball to the spot and trusted his guys were going to be there. Obviously, the touchdown pass is a example of that to Terry. The last third down is like an extreme example of that. But he's just with experience, he comes that, and he's not only experienced playing in the NFL, but playing with these guys, that he's playing with for the most part. So that part of it, I think, is just the trust, and that he's able to, he knows the plays. He's run a lot of these plays. He's run multiple times, and he just turns it loose.
How valuable is his athleticism and maybe anticipation or reaction in the offense to avoid some of those negative plays you guys had early in the year?
I think it's huge. I mean, anytime whether you're going to move a little bit or get the ball out of your hand, I mean, that's what a lot of playing quarterback's about, and I think we saw a lot of that where he was getting the ball out and taking a hit right after the ball was getting out of his hand, or just to elude pressure, a little bit. That's huge into what he does.
We've asked the defensive guys about Sam Ehlinger. Do you remember scouting him at all last year?
Just a little bit. I watched his tape. Athletic guy, physical. Tough. The thing you saw was toughness. I remember him coming out. They were the number one offense in that conference, the Big 12, which is saying a lot because they score a lot of points in that conference. You haven't really seen much of him, obviously, since then. I haven't thought much about it other than when I saw the announcement. We're obviously working on the other side of the ball.
And running the ball, many benefits, time possession, keeping defense off the field, et cetera. What do you think is the number one consequence of a good running game that you appreciate most as a coordinator?
All the things you said. I mean, the time of possession is a team stat. It's not, obviously our defense holding them to whatever that was, 0 for whatever on third down. We kept the ball we got the ball back. And then I told the guys, I'll call 38 runs every game. I got no issue with that, but we got to convert third downs in order to do that. I mean, you can't call a run if you're not on the field. So, us able to convert third downs, I thought that was one of the biggest parts of the game. I know 7 for 16, but we started 0 for 4, and then the pick six was the fourth one. And then from that point on, I thought we did a great job on third down. That allows you to run the ball. That was the number one third down defense in the NFL, and they weren't letting anybody. Once you got past 3rd and 7, there just wasn't a conversion, and we got 4 of those. And to me, that was the difference in the game.
Taylor was only sacked once, so I was curious, did you notice a difference in the offensive line, how they reacted to him or anything like that?
I think our guys did a great job. I mean, they got some really good rushers up front. And then, I think, I don't know if it was Pete or Sam, but just to ask about it, just getting the ball out and anticipating. I mean, that's part of it as well. Again, when we talked about pass protection, when it was going bad the last couple weeks or whatever that was, a couple weeks ago, and I said it then, and it's still true now. It's a team deal. The receivers got to get open. Guys got to get where they need to be. The ball's got to come out, and then ultimately we got to block them too. It all gets tied together.
What's your feedback to Taylor on the third down play? He just throws it to Terry with full trust. Terry goes up and gets it. Do you encourage that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this game is about. I mean, that's why we practice. Terry got pushed a little bit wide on the route. It's not necessarily what it's supposed to look like, but he got to the spot where he's supposed to be. And they wanted to follow they wanted to have what's his name, 23, Alexander follow Terry. So we felt good about that matchup. So we got it at the end of the game when we went to it, and Taylor had some pressure in his face, but he threw the ball on time to the spot, and Terry made the play. But that's why we spend all this time, and they spend all the time. The players working together and everything like that. And Taylor obviously hasn't had a lot of those reps this year with Terry, but he has in the past, and he knows the play, and he put it out there where it's supposed to be, and he did it on time, which is a major point as well. And again, Terry made the play.
Terry's pretty fired up after that. You've been around Terry for a while now. Was that maybe a little different side of him that we don't normally get to see?
Yeah, he was. I mean, the guys were telling me about it. They said he was more fired up after the touchdown, which is good. I think Terry's a prideful guy, and he's a really good guy. You don't see a lot of it, but there's been a little bit of frustration, and he knows what he's capable of, and maybe the numbers haven't reflected that. And he got an opportunity to show it a couple times in that game, and he came up big. So I was happy for him.
I assume you've seen the picture of Taylor throwing the ball.
Yeah.
What do you think about
I think I don't know. I think they caught him mid blink. I mean, he threw it to the right spot, so whatever. I mean, it worked out. Like I said, he got to his drop, he hitched and threw. Kenny Clark was about an inch from his face, so I think that's just a natural human reaction. I didn't see it till like a day or two ago. Someone showed it to me. But yeah, I guess I don't know what to think of it.
And with regards to the running back, obviously Brian has been getting more of the workload, but Antonio has been having a good role as well. In this role for Antonio, where he's more of the, I don't say change of pace, but
Right.
outside guy, he looks to be fast and effective, and I think there's people on Twitter have opinions, and they're all wondering, a lot of them are wondering why he's playing more now. Is it a case of more is less to a degree with Gibson in the sense of getting more impact by
Yeah, I mean, I think it all gets affected. I mean, he's fresher, and he's faster because maybe he's not getting hit as much. That might have something to do with it. Kind of flow of the game has something to do with it. I said this before, and again, we'll see if it proves true. I think it will. There's going to be some games where those numbers may be flipped. You know what I mean? Where Antonio gets rolling early and we stick with him more, and B-Rob doesn't get quite as much, or it's more even. How it is. I mean. B-Rob obviously had the lower yards per carry, but that's because he was in there for some of those grinded out type of moments and runs. And Antonio hit a couple splash plays that are going to, boost your. I thought he was going to hit a 75-yard touchdown. He got tripped up barely. I'm happy with how it is. There's going to be some back and forth with it. The type of guys they both want to play all the time. You want them to be like that. But I think it's a good combination between the two of them, and there's going to be some give and take between that group.
You talked about with Terry some frustration, and he's got some opportunities in that game. Obviously, he was working with Carson, who was new for him. So even though you have a good receiver like Terry, how long does it take to build that trust? And is that primarily, you think, the big difference with Taylor being able to get him?
No, I don't think so, and it's not a negative towards Carson. It's just situations sometimes. I mean, whether it was pass pro, a pass pro issue where Terry might have been open on a play and we didn't get it to him. Again, maybe some things with the quarterback, but I think they're playing a lot of man, and we got some one-on-ones. It's easy to say, hey, pick out your guy and go to him in this last game. A lot of it is more situational. I think than anything else.
The run game, when you're running like that, and it looked like there were a few times where you could do other things off that, like the jet to Curtis, where I don't think anybody knew that he even had the ball at first, and they had the play action to Cam where his arm gets hit in the fumble, but he's open and all that, and they're playing for the run. Did you feel like you could set things up better because you were running and do some different things?
I think there's always some of that. You're running successfully, and then you pick and choose, when you're going to take your shots. I already talked about it. They have a very good pass rush, and we were able to keep them at bay a little bit because, they had to play both. That part of that had to do with it, the run and the pass. And, there's a lot of times where, you want to be aggressive, but, that offensive line is doing a great job of wearing those guys down, and the backs are running it. But I think that all of it plays off of each other, and it's stuff that we're going to always look at and do going forward.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate
You good? All right, guys. Thank you.